Hello, my name is Richard Wallis, technology evangelist for a company called Tallis. We're fairly prominent in the linked data, semantic web and other such technologies which are relevant to what we're talking about today. The title for my session is Demystifying Open and Linked Data, which is a large subject that we could probably spend a couple of hours talking about. So here's a brief overview. Some of you may have already heard of the term linked open data, and most of the enthusiasts around that area may have indicated that it's a silver bullet that will solve all our ills. Pragmatically, like all technologies, it's going to make a difference, but silver bullet, well, we'll see what happens. But it's all about publishing your data, getting that data out there in a way that others and yourselves can consume. So let's pick this apart, linked open data. It's not just one technology, it's several. Firstly, there's data itself. And data in this context, we're talking about data that comes out of computer systems, data that can be relied upon to deliver figures and information. And in a form that's readable by other computers, not necessarily a word processing file or a PDF which is designed for humans. This is more data that comes out of spreadsheets and databases, etc. So open data is the next term, and that means data that's consumable by other people other than your own organisation. It's published in a way that's accessible to those organisations and individuals, therefore it is going to be machine readable. But it's also accessible in terms that they can understand how to use that data. So if it's complex data, maybe have some information published alongside it to explain the format it's in, why it's structured, how how often it's collected, that kind of information. And then finally, what license it can be consumed upon, can be consumed with. If a developer is going to use your data, they have to be fairly confident that they're not going to get sued by you, they're not going to break any copyright terms, etc., etc. Which is why the national government, under the auspices of data.gov.uk, have published the Open Government Licence, which is there to indicate people can use that data while recognising who published it, but they can use it for any purpose, be it commercial, whether it mixing with other data, produce services on top of it, etc. Which means the developer is really clear that they can use that data without any problem. So that's open data. We now come to linked data, and linked data has come from the semantic web ideas published by Tim Berners-Lee over the last few years, but this is using pragmatically the standards that his W3C, the World Wide Web Consortium, have put together to deliver standards for moving data around the internet in the same way they've delivered standards for moving web pages around the internet. And it's a set of standards to use identifiers to link data together, and those identifiers effectively are clickable upon. So when you follow the link, it takes you to a place which explains what that data is about. And they use identifiers which are web accessible. So by that I mean, I'm certain in your systems you have numbering systems, so you might have an invoice number that's 12345, but the authority next door may equally have a numbering system where they've got an invoice 12345. So by prefixing it with your own domain name, so myauthority.gov.uk/invoices/12345, you're going to make it unique, which means you can put your data on the web in the same way the authority next door can, and there won't be any conflict. You've got some unique identifiers. Finally, there is linked open data, which brings all these things together. So it's data published using this linked format, it's published in an open way that people know that they can share it, and it's open for anybody to use and start to link towards it. So linked open data is fairly new. It's a new technology. Data.gov.uk I've only been working with it for just over a year and a half. The enthusiast community are still building the way forward with this kind of thing, but it's clear from its early adoption by various organisations and government that it's got legs, if you like, and people are starting to see the benefits of it. How does it fit with local government, which is obviously the reason for this conference that this session is part of? Well, It's been driven by the transparency agenda which has come out of the current government, which built on top of what data.gov.uk has been doing, started by the previous agenda. I could spend hours discussing the whys and wherefores of why we should be publishing this data, but that's obviously for another time. But if we are going to publish it, we ought to do it in the most useful and effective way. Sharing the experience, sharing the data, sharing the practice between authorities, between the organisations the authorities deal with, between national government and other bodies across the world. The transparency agenda has been driving forward initially. The first bit of data that we should look at in this way is the local authority spending data, elements over £500. Why? Well, from one point of view, it's very simple data. Basically, each piece of information will have 5 attributes with it. It's going to be an identifier, a date, how much, what for, and who to. Fairly simple. It means that as a first set of data to deal with, we can all come together to discuss the best way of doing it without going off into esoteric discussions about the best way to, say, present planning data or health outcome data or something like that. It's nice and simple and focused. It's also fairly easy to see whether an organisation has actually achieved it or not. There are various initiatives around opening up spending data, some between early adopter local authorities who are already publishing some of their data as open data, and 1 or 2 of them already as linked data. There are commercial organisations such as the people who supply finance systems to local authorities. There's community efforts, for instance, the LGA, LGID, ESD Toolkit and people like that. There are individual enthusiasts who are dealing with this data, even simple organisations like Openly Local or somebody like that, who are pulling this data together to try and prove the benefits of it. So, talking of benefits, what's the benefit of doing it as linked open data rather than just publishing a spreadsheet, for instance, in addition to the PDF for the humans to read? Well, the main key is to aggregate data, so you can analyse across boundaries, you can compare and benchmark authorities between each other. But what about linked open data for all sets of data that you're publishing? And then the benefits start to accrue, not only to the wider community, but internal within an authority. An authority is a microcosm of the wider world, and it's amazing how many departments can't share each other's data because they've got dissimilar systems, etc. So publishing in this way will add benefits to the way an authority works internally with itself, other authorities, partnerships, etc. So one thing we obviously have to be aware of, and this is where some concerns arise, is the moment we start publishing this data, people will start commenting upon it, and we need to be ready for that feedback. And your data is not going to be perfect in exactly the same way as the authority next door is not going to be perfect. So we're going to have to be ready for people to feed back information to say this information may not be correct, etc. But over a period of time, with the help of people who are using this data, we can get a better feed of the data, and which can be authoritative for information from your authorities. And to be blunt, there's the final issue of this is preemptive freedom of information. All this data could be obtained via freedom of information requests, or most certainly most of it could be. So by publishing as part of the standard workflow in an authority, we're preempting the need to answer freedom of information requests, etc. There's a lot more on this topic, as you can imagine, around the best ways to publish linked data, where linked data came from, how you might do it, etc. So there's going to be some links associated with this presentation on the online conference website. So please follow those links, and if there's any questions, obviously contact me directly. My information will be on the web page as well. I hope that helped clarify a few things. Thank you.